You doing today? And this is Nisa with Nisa's Variety Show. Yeah, I can't sing, but anyway, hey, today we're gonna make something super special. We're gonna make several things. I'm gonna make my meatloaf out of ground turkey meat, but you can take the exact same recipe, use ground beef, use ground chicken, use anything like that, and make meatloaf out of it. So, but today we're going to use ground turkey meat to make meatloaf. And I make my meatloaf a little different. And also when I use ground turkey, I don't put breadcrumbs in it and I don't put eggs in it because turkey meat is already really dry. And so we don't need anything else drying it out. Matter of fact, we're gonna add just a little tiny bit of water to it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open my pack of ground turkey meat here. And I am going to dump it in this bowl. I'm going to take this over to the trash. There we go. Now, one of the things that I always do to my ground turkey meat is I always, mostly add my original Cajun seasoning. None of that other Cajun seasoning, the one in this can, original. The other ones don't taste the same. Now, I'm sure they work pretty good in some other recipes and stuff, but to me, this one does the trick for turkey. And so this is what I use. So first I'm gonna just add a little original Cajun seasoning to my turkey meat. Now you're saying, Nisa, now why would you add Cajun seasoning to, uh-oh, my glove got a hole in it. Let me reach under here and get another one. You say, Nisa, why would you add Cajun seasoning to a meatloaf? You know, to me, with the turkey, you just don't really taste it like what you think. You know, it just gives the turkey some flavor all together, to me. Oh, I think you guys will think the same thing. But once I get this original Cajun seasoning in the turkey meat, I like to go ahead and smush it up in there. Now, let me rinse off my gloves. Yes, you can wash your gloves when you're cooking. Now, that's what I'm gonna do. Because I gotta touch some other stuff, and I don't want raw meat on it, and I don't want stuff all on my hands, and that's just how I am. I got my oven over here. I have it on 425. You can cook this meatloaf anywhere from 375 to 425, and it's gonna be just fine. But the higher you cook it, the more you need to watch it. Okay, now this is just regular salt. And I'm gonna give it a good little sprinkle there. You don't want your stuff to be too salty. Turkey meat is already salty enough. Now the next thing we're gonna add is our garlic powder. I'm gonna add that. And the next thing we're gonna add is our onion powder. And for some reason, this onion powder has gotten kind of dry in there. There we go. We add our onion powder. I had a little bit of garlic powder left in here. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it in there. Throw that away with my glove there. Now the next thing I like is ground black pepper. It's one of my favorite things for meatloaf. Okay. Then the next thing, you got to have our Italian seasoning. Now if you want to put all that stuff like oregano, rosemary, and all those different seasons that go with spaghetti and tomato sauce and all of that, it's already in your Italian seasoning. So just buy a good Italian seasoning and you have all those seasonings already in one container. Now with this, I like to really give it some good dousing. I would say I use at least a tablespoon and a half of Italian seasoning. Now at this point, what I would do is, well, let's add one more thing. And another thing I like to use is at the store they have this stuff in these packs. You can tell it's called, they have it for all kind of stuff, spaghetti, meatloaf, tacos, they have gravies, all kind of stuff, but this is a meatloaf seasoning mix. So I like to take this, as you can see it's already open, so I used it before. Now, I'm not making a huge meatloaf, so I'm just gonna put about a good 2 tablespoons of it in there. Now, another thing is, sometimes when I make this meatloaf too, I find a really good turkey sausage and I add it to this recipe, but I'm not doing that today. I'm just making the basic. Now the last thing I'm gonna do is, this is my tomato sauce, and what I'm gonna do with this tomato sauce is I'm gonna just pour a little bit in here. Now if you were gonna be making this out of beef, at this point before the tomato sauce, you would have had to add your crackers or your breading or whatever you like to put in there, and your egg. But since I'm not using ground beef, I'm not adding the egg, and I'm not adding any type of breading mix to it. So I'm just adding these 2 things as my last ingredients, and now I'm going to just mix this up really good with my hand. And this is another one of those items that is just good to mix up with your hand. You know, it gets really mixed up really well. All the different ingredients gets into every part of your meatloaf. And believe it or not, this meatloaf is gonna come out delicious. It's gonna be so delicious. You guys are not gonna be able to believe it. Now, the next thing with my clean glove here I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my good old cooking spray, and this is my pan I'm gonna make my meatloaf in. All right, sorry about that. It made some fumes, didn't it? Now, I know a lot of people make their meatloaf into a loaf, but I don't do that. So let me turn this water on over here. Get my hands wet. And what I like to do is I like to take the meat, a good handful like that. I wet my glove so that it'll make it easier to make my meatloaf into meatloaf balls. And I just put them in my glass pan. Now this pack of turkey meat is only gonna make like about 3 meatloaf balls. And trust me, they are going to be super good. You are going to love this recipe. And even if you added some ground turkey, some ground turkey sausage to it, man, you would be enjoying yourself. It's really a great recipe. So there we are. We're getting this last one together. Then we're gonna get this bowl out of our way. There we go. Now, and in there. I'm gonna take these gloves on off. Okay, so now I got my butter knife here. You guys know about a butter knife, or at least in the South we call this a butter knife. I don't know what y'all call it, but where I'm from we call it a butter knife. But I'm out here in the West in the desert now, and I'm not sure what they call it out here because I haven't really checked with anybody about that. But I'm gonna take my tomato paste and I'm put it on my knife, and I'm just gonna put it right on top of my meatloaf ball. And I'm gonna spread it just like I'm icing a cake right on top, just like if you was making a loaf meatball. I mean a loaf meatloaf. Sorry, y'all. So we're gonna get our last one here. I can't wait to bite into this. This is gonna be scrumptious. Now, we got a little of our tomato paste left, and I'll tell you what I do with my tomato paste when I have some left in the can. I get a Ziploc bag, and I take the rest out of the can, and I put it in the Ziploc bag, and I put it in the freezer for next time. That's how you keep the rest of your tomato paste. You don't have to use all of it. Now, this is our can of tomato sauce. We used a little bit of it, putting it inside of our turkey balls meatloaf. And now we're gonna just pour the sauce right on top. Now I'm gonna come over here to the sink, and I'm just gonna get a little tiny water to go in this can, and I'm gonna shake it around. And I'm just gonna add it to my meatloaf balls. Now the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come over here to my drawer, and I'm gonna get a piece of aluminum foil out. And I'll tell you something else I like to do sometimes too, because I don't like stuff to stick to the top of my food. So sometimes I'll spray that. Okay. Well, this girl done went crazy with this non-stick spray. Yeah, there's just so much you can do with it and you don't even know it. Okay, we got that done. Let me get another knife from over here. And anytime you cover something up with aluminum foil, you want to make some air holes for it. So, because you don't want all that steam staying in there with your food. Now, I don't know what the difference is between your food being over-steamed and under-steamed, but I know that it makes it cook better if it has ventilation. Now we're gonna go over here to my oven, and I'm gonna stick this in. Now the next thing, one of the next things I'm gonna do, but I'm just gonna show you this. I'm gonna make this macaroni and cheese here with this pack and this macaroni. But what I've already done with this pack of cheese, you might can tell or not, but I've set it on the stove because the top of the stove gets hot while you're cooking. And so it just helps the cheese to melt in there better. And so when you get ready to put the cheese into your macaroni, then it makes for a better, easier time mixing it around into the noodles. But we'll get to this in a minute. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to make some yams. And I'm just going to use these yams out of the can. I know how to make sweet potatoes. I know how to make sweet potato casserole. I know how to do all of that. But I was taught when you can take a shortcut, take a shortcut. So I'm taking a shortcut. So I have a can of yams here and I'm just gonna put them in this pan. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, I just warm these yams up, that's it. Me, no. One thing I'm gonna do is, I got my vanilla here, and I'm gonna add some vanilla, about a 1/4 teaspoon to my yams. And give it a little shake. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I have some pineapple here. And if I can get it open, there we go. I'm gonna pour a little of the pineapple juice in here. Then I am going to take one piece of this pineapple because you don't need much. And I am going to chop this pineapple up into pieces. You can chop it any kind of way you like it. And shred it however you want to do it. I'm going to throw that in there. And put my lid back on here. You know, I've learned over the years, use what you got. Okay. And take shortcuts when you can. Now the last ingredient for that is sugar. And this is a 1/4 measuring cup. So I'm gonna put this entire 1/4 measuring cup into these yams. I'm going to kind of do them like that. I'm going to get a spoon because I want to kind of get my pineapple mixed in here. And I'm going to put these on the stove because they're going to be part of my dinner. So now we have our meatloaf in the oven, we have our yams cooking, and we have our water getting up to temperature for our macaroni. And once that happens, we'll be back with that part. Okay, yeah, right now we got our macaroni, we have our salt. I already put a little salt in the water. The water is ready for the noodles, so I'm going to stick it in there, and we will be back after the noodles get ready. I will show you how I doctor up this macaroni and cheese. Now, don't worry because I'm going to make homemade macaroni and cheese on here. And I definitely have to make my smoked white cheddar macaroni and cheese. Y'all gonna love that. But I normally do that like around Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year, somewhere around that time. But today I'm just kicking it up a notch with, you know, what somebody already went through the trouble to do. And so now I'm just taking their stuff and making it into something even better. But like I said, take your aluminum pack, set it on your stove while stuff is cooking. And when you get ready to use your cheese, you'll see in a few minutes when we get to that part how creamy that cheese comes out. And so it just makes things so much easier. And a couple of other things I wanted to show before we get to this macaroni and cheese part. We got a few more minutes before we get to that. But here is my tomato paste that I put in the Ziploc bag. And I'm going to stick it in the freezer. And the next time I want to use it, I'll have it. So when you have stuff like tomato sauce or tomato paste left over that you know, like I said, it's not many people who live here, so I can't use it all. So I'm gonna stick this in the freezer for the next time when I make turkey meatloaf again. Space there. And then the other thing is, let me get my other mitt here. I don't know if you guys can really see in here. Let me try to do it. I don't think so, but anyway, the other thing I like to do to these yams is I like to add a little bit of cinnamon, and I like to do that after they get started cooking. It gives the pineapple and the vanilla a chance to absorb into the yams, and then you put the cinnamon, and the cinnamon taste is on top of that. So that, you know, that's why I say some stuff that I do is science, and definitely the way that I am going to do this macaroni and cheese is science. So be ready for it in just a minute. Hey, all right, now we're going to get started on this doctor it up macaroni and cheese. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here to the stove. It's already ready. The timer went off. You guys weren't here for it, but I'm gonna pour it into the strainer. And it's a few pieces stuck to the bottom, so I'm gonna try to get them unstuck here. Get every piece of macaroni we can. There we are. Now, one thing you want to do is you want to stop your macaroni from cooking, and the way you do that is you run cold water over it. And you kind of just keep running cold water till you see the steam stop forming. And the other thing is that macaroni is really starchy. Any type of pasta has a lot of starch to it. So it's really good to rinse that starch off of it. Okay, now, I'll bring this over here. Now this is the science part, people, because this is the way that I came up with and learned that it tasted the best. So, I took my spray away, but I'm gonna need it. And so what you do is, the first thing you do is you take your salt and you give your macaroni about a 1/4 teaspoon worth if you're just using one box. And then you start taking your butter, and this is some of this butter that's out west that's in these big pats of big sticks. They're really wide, so you can kind of cut them up a little more and put them into your dish. Ooh, I almost cut myself there, gotta be careful. So they say when you can catch stuff like that, that's called a mother's catch. Because you don't even use your sight or your ability. It's like a natural instinct to catch something. So I would say this is like maybe a 1/4 stick of butter, and this is what it looks like. So we got that in there, and that's enough butter. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we need our spoon, and we need our scissors. And we have this cheese. And you're gonna see how creamy this cheese comes out after it's been just sitting on the stove while everything else cooked. It got really, really soft. But first, one thing I like to do is I like to stir this together before I add this cheese to it. It's part of my scientific macaroni and cheese doctoring up that I came up with. All right, so we got that stirred up. Now, look at this cheese. See that? Don't set it on the eye. I'm not saying that. Just set it on part of the stove that's warm, and it will melt. But if you set this packet on the eye, anywhere where there's fire, it will burn up. So don't sit it on an eye. Just sit it on part of the stove that gets hot, and it will melt the cheese inside the packet to make it easy to come out. Now, we got our cheese, we got our butter, we got our noodles, we got our salt. So now, what do I like to use? I like to use whole milk. And in this recipe too, sometimes I'll get canned milk. And canned milk gives it a lot more thicker, creamier, cheesier taste. And sometimes I'll even add extra cheese to this. Say I'm having a get together and I decide to have macaroni, and I'm gonna have at least 4 or 5 people over, so I'll make 2 boxes of this. I'll add extra cheese, and I'll add canned milk, and because I'll make it a little bit more kicked up, you know, doctored up. But just for you guys today, this is what we have. So we got the melted cheese in there, the butter, the noodles, and the salt. Now we're gonna add some milk. And this is just whole milk. You can use 2% Alphadophilus, any type of cow's milk, any type of cow's milk in a can. Now, as far as using almond milk, I don't know. I've never used it. As far as using oat milk, I don't know. I've never used it. Coconut milk, I don't have a clue. I only know about cow's milk, and that is what I am using today. So now you guys might need a measuring cup. I don't need a measuring cup. I've made this macaroni and cheese since it came out, so I just know how much milk to put in. And I'm gonna say it's about maybe 3/4 of a cup of milk. You put your milk in there, take your spoon, stir your cheese, butter, noodles all together. Look how creamy that looks. You guys are gonna be surprised how good this comes out. And you start making it yourself. But I'm gonna make homemade macaroni and cheese, but for now, I'm just showing you the kicked up version of the box kind. I even got a kicked up version of the box kind that has the powder in it. You know, that's just how we do it. Put that up. Now, I need my cooking spray. I don't know why I put it up, but I did. Let me come back over here. Make sure I get my sides good. And then you just pour your macaroni in there. Now you actually can put this macaroni in a pan on the stove and cook it for about 10 minutes and eat it that way. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to top it with cheese. And my daughter loves to get this cheese from the deli. They call it on sale. I don't know nothing about that. I guess it seemed like it's on sale. We might not have enough, so we may have to go in here in the refrigerator and find some additional cheese, and we will. So let's just put that in the middle. And I think I have some white cheddar in here. So let me take a look. Yeah. It's not, is it open? No, it's not even open. Trying to feel this so I can get it open here. So hard to do. And really for macaroni cheese, any kind of cheese works. Any kind. Now I'm gonna take a piece of this yellow cheese though, and I'm gonna put it over here on this other side, because we got some on this side. So we want it to kind of match. Now I'm gonna take this white cheddar, put it up there. I'm gonna take another piece of white cheddar and I'm gonna put it down here. And so there we go, look at that. Can't do it too much. Now we're gonna stick this in the oven with our turkey meatloaf balls. And it all ought to be coming out real soon. Let me stick this in there and see how they doing anyway. Ooh, they smell good, that's for sure. That's looking real good, fam. It's looking real good. So now we got our macaroni and cheese in the oven. We got our turkey meatloaf balls in the oven. We got our yams. We candied them, kind of. on top of the stove. And if you watched my last video, I had fried cabbage. So I got some fried cabbage warming up on top of the stove too, I'm gonna have with it. And a friend of mine gave me some Hawaiian rolls, which I think I gotta get some more out of the freezer because my daughter loves those. And so I have to get those out of the freezer and let them unthaw. And we'll be back. We'll be back with my plate being made. And you guys are gonna want to go fix you a Sunday dinner one. But this show may not come out on Sunday, but you're gonna want to cook a Sunday dinner no matter what day it is. But while you're here, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to my show. Okay? And then under my show, I have a Mercari website. The link is to it right underneath it. Go under there and find something cute. Look at these little cute earrings. See these? I made these little cute earrings. And a lady seen me with these on and she wanted a pair. And so she got her a pair too. They weren't black and white though because I didn't have any more black and white ones. But she got a pair. And I have plenty on there. Go on there and find you some cute stuff. I have some bird earrings. I have some heart earrings. I have some rose earrings. I have all kind of earrings. I have game earrings. I have Super Mario. I have these right here, which is the Atari controller. Hey Google, stop the timer. So you guys, go in there and look. Aren't those cute? Who wouldn't like those? Atari controllers. And look at this little cute set right here. Now this is a necklace with a leather strap and the earrings that go with it. Now that's a good Hawaiian vacation or island vacation, any of those places. You could wear this cute necklace and earring set. So go under there and look. And once everything gets ready, we'll get back started. I wanted you to see these yams in the pan. They're not the most beefy ones, but they'll do the trick. I want to show you how they should look once you put all your extra ingredients and stuff in there and how they should be caramelized. And so just get ready to eat you some. They're going to be super tasty here in a minute. So I got them on just low right now. You see the juice is cooked all the way down and it's caramelized. And so the yams are going to be so good. Just wait. Okay, everybody, we're back. And let me say, here's our macaroni and cheese. Right here, take a look at that. Don't that just look so delicious and juicy and good? And here is our meatloaf, turkey meatloaf balls. I'm gonna get them just a little more spruced up here with sauce on them, but take a look at that. Don't that just look so scrumptious and delicious? And y'all know how I like to take a scoop and scoop stuff and just make sure a scoop works for everything. Don't it? Yeah. Both of these deals are ready and I'm gonna make my plate. And when I get my plate made, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how good it looks, okay? So we'll be back in this. All right, fam, here we are, and look at my plate. Don't that look so delicious? Look at that macaroni and cheese and that cabbage and that meatloaf ball and those yams. And these rolls, these are Hawaiian rolls. A friend of mine gave me a whole big old great big pack, so I just freeze some of them, and they are so good with this. But I whipped up this dinner, and this is a traditional Southern style dinner. And let you see this meatloaf here, see it on the inside. That cheese hanging off of that. And that's called doctored up.